And welcome to episode 3 of the Go Earn It podcast. I'm your host, Shane Sparks. Our guest today is a 4-time Big 12 champion, 3-time All-American, 2-time national champion, Chris Perry, current assistant coach at Oklahoma State. Chris, fired up to talk some wrestling. How are you?
Yeah, good, great. Excited to talk to you. I'm ready to go.
Chris, I always start these interviews with a question on family. And when I look at your family, there is not one like it between the Perrys and the Smiths. I mean, you basically come out with cauliflower ear. Accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I'm just blessed to be part of a great family and be around a lot of high-level wrestlers in my life.
Not to mention your dad, 2-time All-American, Mark Sr. there at Oklahoma State. What are your first vivid memories of wrestling?
Oh, I think just really getting the opportunity to be in the room at a young age with my dad coaching, guys like Eric Guerrero, Jamil Kelly, Hardell Moores, guys like that. I got to watch these guys since I was just a kid in the room and got to watch day-to-day battles. Got to watch them get to the top of the level, win national championships. I mean, at 4 years old, I got to see these guys challenge themselves and become NCAA champions every day.
Who was your favorite cowboy growing up?
Oh, to be honest, when I was young, it was Hardell Moore because he used to do that little jump deal where he'd jump his knees all the way to his head and everybody go crazy. So when you're a kid, you thought it was the coolest thing ever that the guy would come out and jump his knees as high as he could. And he'd get about 6 feet off the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Pretty similar to what Fix does?
Yeah, he could get up there though. I'll give him that. I think he's got the highest vertical so far.
Man, what do you remember your first time going to a dual meet at Gallagher Iba?
I really don't, to be honest.
Okay.
I think just being in the room growing up, I remember these guys used to grab me after their practice and play with me and things like that. At 4, I'd be sitting on the side and they would just throw me the football or whatever we had in the room and just joke around with me and just kind of give me that attention, and that made me feel special for sure.
What was the biggest influence your dad had in you as a young age growing up and getting involved in the sport?
Oh, I think he was pretty good about it. He was busy with the college at first. And so he kind of just gave me my distance. My mom took me around to a lot of places, a lot of tournaments in youth. My dad used to call and ask her how I was doing. And, he would ask some questions, but he kind of laid off of me until I was about 10. And then just having my brother around was key at that age. My brother was hard enough on me. Did you win or did you lose? Pretty simple questions. If I said loss, he's like, what are you doing? You're getting worse, and he was pretty hard on me. So anyway, he just challenged me. And I think my brother was a big part in that. My dad kind of gave me my space, which was great. Then when I got closer to high school, my dad was pretty hard on me. He got out of the sport about that time and he really put a lot of attention into me. So I think he gave me my space at a young age and in the youth development. And then my brother, you have an older brother about 5 years older than you. He's going to be hard enough on you in the living room. So you don't got to worry about dad too much.
When you think back to your dad, anything specifically that he did a really good job of where it's like you can pinpoint and say that was so big? Maybe you didn't know it at the time, but looking back, like that was huge.
Probably structure and discipline. He never gave me an inch. I mean, even though people are sometimes hard on parents, they're too hard on them. What's the alternative, right? The alternative is to be soft with them, do this, not be up their butt all the time. And I think just having that is key. It really is. It's like we're not going to live another lifestyle beside this way, and this is how our family grew up, and we're going to be hard whether you win or lose. We're gonna make sure we stay on top of everything and the details, and make sure that we're disciplined with the way that we live our life.
So you go to high school and you won 4 state titles, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite high school state tournament memory?
Oh, probably freshman year. I never lost a match in high school till I got beat in the the finals of the regional tournament. I lost to a guy from Del City, Oklahoma, where John and my dad and all them went to high school. So I took a little heat from that. They still give it to me. The only loss she ever had was from a Del City Eagle. That's what they say. And it's fun love now, but at the time it was kind of like, all right, I owe this guy one. I got to get this one back. He was a senior. I was a freshman. And I think the biggest was, I got sick, before state finals. I had the flu, and I was like, man, I just lost this guy, and I'm not feeling good. A little nervous winning or losing still. It beat me. I think I was about 6 or 7 pounds underweight, and I willed myself to a win. The week before, I kind of emotionally got involved in the match too much. Like, man, I'm undefeated. I'm the freshman phenom, and I ran into a senior who was a man, and I wasn't a man yet, and I just had to kind of learn my lesson. And then the next week I'm sick, and I'm like, man, I just lost this guy. I don't feel good. Throwing up. Everything's wrong, and now I got to go find a way to win. And I won, but I made some adjustments. But I was in a bad place mentally as a freshman to be sick. I've never been sick and had to go wrestle a guy that beat me.
That's a great story. That's a great story, Chris, because here's the bottom line. Number one, nobody cares. That's it. The circumstances of the day, nobody cares that you were sick. I mean, if the guy ends up beating you, it doesn't have an asterisk by your name that says Chris was sick. He wasn't feeling good. And we can talk more about this, but just want to go back to that time. You're probably 14, 15 years old. How did you do it? Like the mental dialogue between the ears. How did you propel yourself to find a way to get it done and go take it?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to, look, this guy's got the last win over you. If you go lose again, this guy's going to go down in the history books as he's the one that stopped you. So it's kind of like, all right, I owe this guy one. I had no pressure on me. I think after you get beat, you get a little pressure off of you. Everybody thought, he got control. I did get control a little bit. And I think a big deal was, it was just like, look, just find a way to get your hand raised. It doesn't matter how it's done. Make some adjustments from the last match. Don't get emotional. It's going to be a hard match. I think I thought at regionals it was going to be easy. I'm undefeated. This guy, who is this guy? I've killed everybody. I've teched or majored everybody. I just haven't seen this senior yet. And I got a little emotional in the match, like he made it hard on me, and I kind of panicked, and I was just like, look, I'm sick. I know it's going to be hard if I'm sick or not sick. So I'm ready to go now. And I think we just got ready for it to be tough. If you got to win 3-2, win 3-2. If you win 10-2, great. But that's a perfect world, winning 10-2. I was ready to win anyway at all costs. And I think I carried that on to my college career, honestly.
What were some things you did in high school that really set you up heading to the next level?
Oh, just having the training around me. I've been at OSU's room my whole life. I mean, I've got a training my whole life. I had a benefit. It was a good thing, but at the same time, I would say it might have almost set me back a little bit, because I'm like, I'm beating these guys now. Who's going to beat me? I got no pressure on me. I'm a high school kid coming into a college room, getting to train with college guys, and the only thing I can get out of it is good things. If I go and take down Clayton Foster, who's my best friend, I take him. Well, I'm the man, so if he takes me down, well, he's supposed to, he's in college, he's ranked number 4 in the country. So I got to go in with no pressure to train. But when I got to college, I thought I was better than I was a little bit. I think I needed a reality check, kind of like, it's a lot harder when you make weight 26 times a year and you got to get up each week against a top ranked guy in the country. And in high school, you don't got to do that very much. You got to get ready for the state finals. And that was it back in my day, or I got to get ready for the Ironman tournament. I mean, I never went to Ironman, but nowadays these kids go to one big tournament a year. It's like, I got to prepare for that. That's my NCAAs. And then the rest of the time you're teching or pinning everybody in high school. So I think the big deal is 26 times you got to get up. And if you don't get up and you got a 24-year-old kid wrestling an 18-year-old kid, this is a man. It's going to be harder. You shoot on his leg, it doesn't feel the same as a high school boy. This guy's, he's got a beard and he's strong and a grown man. I got to get ready to challenge myself week in and week out. And, but I don't, I just never underestimated a match till I really got to college, and I kind of put myself on a pedestal that freshman year that I wasn't on yet. I needed to earn it.
Coming out of high school, was it a no-brainer? Of course, Mark goes to Iowa. Was it a no-brainer for you to go to Oklahoma State?
No, because Mark was at Penn State at the time. Cale wasn't there yet. Sunderland was the coach there. And I hadn't seen my brother in probably 5 years. He went to Iowa. He went to Blair. So my brother was a big impact on my life. It still is. Probably one of my biggest role models I have. Just grew up, and he just challenged me in different ways. When I struggle, he's the first one to call me, and all that. I think when he was at Penn State, I thought about it, right? I thought, look, I want to go be with my brother. I haven't seen my brother in 8 years. But when
Okay.
it came family, my mother is a big factor in my life. My father was a big factor in my life. And obviously, John's doing his job in college. He recruited me those years. He had to recruit me. And but it just that family environment, it's special. You just got to really understand it. It's pressure, but it's a privilege. It really is. I mean, when I'm struggling, I can walk down the street and call my mom, and she's gonna come over and give me a hug. If I was at another school, I don't got my mom to come give me a hug. I got to call and say, "Man, I'm sitting in my house lonely, and I just got beat." And pat me on the back and tell me it's gonna be okay next week.
It's almost like John could let one slide, but he's no ways letting two slide.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was that, and I think Mark's situation was a little different. He had Johnny Hendricks at his weight, and his goal was to be a four-time national champion, so he didn't want to sit here. And I
Yeah.
think if he had to do it again, he would probably make the same decision, maybe. But I think a lot of it is if Johnny wasn't here, Mark's come to Oklahoma State, no doubt, no questions asked. I think being a four-time national champ's always been our goal in our family because we've had some, and our goal is to beat that, either to be the best. And like I talked to you a little bit earlier about it, it's not that easy. You realize these guys are, when you're in our family, you got a six-time world champ and an Olympic champ, and you got a four-time national champ. It's pretty hard to beat those goals. I mean, we can go. Pat, I think, yeah, Pat went undefeated. No, he did not go undefeated, but it's pretty hard to beat him unless you go undefeated.
If you can expand on that, try to give us some kind of level set. Describe the pressure going to Oklahoma State, because you were kind of at the, John, obviously. I mean, you start with John, your dad, Pat, and the success he had. Mark's won a couple national championships. I mean, so much success. You're coming up on the tail end of that. What do you remember in dealing with the pressure of your name?
I think a lot of it was probably being at the end of it. And I was a wrestling guru, so I followed it all my whole life. Like, I knew every stat. I knew who's done this. I knew who was the four-timer. I knew about Kale Sanders. I mean, I knew it all. And a lot of these kids, they don't get to get invested into that. I was in the room. I saw Teague Moores and Eric's win 3, Jamil Kelly, all these guys win silver medal. So I saw a lot. So it put a lot of pressure on me. Like, who am I if I don't do this? Being in this program, it's really hard. I mean, even being a two-time national champion, I look back, and if I don't know the exact count, but I bet there's 20 of them at OSU. So am I somebody? I feel proud of what I've done, but there's a lot of pressure that you can't ever exceed expectations here. I mean, what are you going to be, the next four-timer? We've already got one. Sorry. You're going to be a 6-time world champion? We've already got one. Sorry. We got guys comparing Jordan Burroughs to John Smith, and there's only been 2 guys ever. So I think it takes a little pressure off of you when you realize at one point you got to come back to reality. To do that, it's special. There's only been 2 ever, and you just embrace it. One thing John always kind of really talked to me about, really helped me, is pressure's a privilege. Whether you win or you don't, it's a privilege. If you feel nervous, you feel anxiety, you feel like, man, I got to do this to be great, then you're going to go somewhere. You're going to push yourself to go somewhere. If you let it, take advantage of you and it buries you in your career, then it wasn't meant to be. I mean, it wasn't for you. So I think I enjoyed it. There was times where it was something. My junior year, it really was, for sure. Getting the first national title off my back, I just wanted to be a national champion and make sure that I was part of that. I got it done. And then the second one, I really did not feel pressure at all. I was kind of like, wing it. Let's go. We got plenty of two-timers. You're not beating Pat's records. You're not beating John's. But having that in front of you was a great thing. I was trying to always hunt down Mark's records growing up, but you don't realize how hard it is till you get in the game. Now that I'm coaching it, it's just like I remind my freshmen all the time. It's a special moment. You got to embrace it. You got to wrestle fearless as a freshman. I wrestled to win, just scared to lose, and I can't be scared to lose. I mean, this is too hard of a sport as a 18-year-old to go out here and wrestle 22-year-old guys and think I got to be scared. I got to go. I got to go out here and fight and tooth and nail, and I'm going to have to win some ugly matches, 3-2, 1-0, and I was just so used to dominating, and I let it become like, am I getting worse? Because it's getting harder, and I kept thinking to myself, because the matches are getting harder, am I getting worse? No, it's welcome to the game. These guys are 5 years older than you, and they're all 4-time state champions. You're not wrestling the kid down the street at Perry High School. You're wrestling the guy that's already won 4 titles and all, and he's going for second title. So get ready.
Do you remember, going back to Mark and his influence on you, do you remember a conversation that you had with him along the way that really was a difference maker for you?
Yeah, probably my junior year. I got a little banged up, and he just hit me with the truth. Like, he told me my senior year in college, he tore his meniscus before the NCAA tournament, got surgery, and he said, I just told myself, I'm going in this tournament. I don't care what it looks like. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. I got to get my hand raised, and it's going to be ugly. And he almost lost a couple matches, but just wins. Just will your way to it. And don't care what people say. He's a staller. He's this or that. And junior year, I mean, I'm telling you, I think I got one tournament. I was in double overtime 4 out of the 5 matches. And the number 1 seed shouldn't be double overtime 4 out of the 5 matches. I popped my elbow at big toes. Never really handled injury. I always felt like I had to feel good, to be at my best. And I was a little banged up, and I just willed my way through every match. First round, I had a pigtail, and the guy I think he was like 17 and 18. I went 7-6 at the end. And it's like, just move on, smash. Don't worry about it. Nobody cares if you win 7-6 or 20-5. And so I just kept finding a way, and I got confident and just believing it. I'm, kept to get your hand raised. Nobody cares. At the NCAA tournament, it'll get better. It'll get better. And it never did get better. I kept believing in my coaches and him, and just knowing so in the tournament, no, everybody hated me. It's fine. I'm okay with it. I don't need to trust anybody. I just need to get my hand raised at the end of the day.
Good thoughts on those conversations with Mark. You mentioned the confidence you had going in. You're a freshman at Oklahoma State. What were some of the difficult days like when you realized, hey, I'm not as good as I thought I was?
They're dark. I remember, one conversation. I've lost 1 high school match in 5 years. 4 years, and then junior high killed everybody. So I hadn't really lost in about 6 years. And then I get to that college season, and I remember losing about 6 in a row. And I was like, what is going on? Is this not meant to be for me? Is this sport? I was questioning myself a lot. I remember actually one conversation at the national duels. I lost the match, and I went underneath the bleachers. I was crying. I remember my grandpa Smith walking down there, and he passed away about 3 years ago. And I remember him saying, get your head up, son. You're going to be all right. Just remember that we've all been through this, and I want you to get up, and I want you to go wrestle for your team from here on out. Quit worrying about yourself. And it kind of it changed me a little bit. My grandpa's been through 10 kids, 6 girls, 4 boys, seen John, Pat, Leroy, and to have a 75-year-old man walk down there and tell you that, he knew I was broke. I lost 3 matches in one day. I've never done. That's unheard of for my family. And kind of like, I just remember him coming down there, and he just hugging me and let me know, go out there and wrestle for your team. And I won the next match 2-1, barely, but it just, that level of comfort, family goes a long way in the sport. And I think that's one thing I've kind of learned through it all is a couple little words can really change the season quickly. From your brother, from your dad, from your grandfather, from my mom. And I needed them all. And I think that was one of the best situations why I stayed home. I'm not sure how I would have handled it if I was at another university without these people.
Your first All-American honor, you make the quarterfinals, and then you go on the backside, you lose a couple matches. What was that experience like? What did you learn from that tournament?
Oh,
You fell short. My correction, you fell short of All-American honors that first experience.
I was a little kid. I got beat. I said, I can't win 4 national titles. And I pouted, to be honest. And I needed to grow up a little bit and say, it's not about you. Don't be selfish. And went in the backside, and the first match didn't go. I didn't even look at, everybody calls it the blood round. I didn't even know what that was. I've never paid attention to the blood round when I was growing up. It was all about national finals, semifinals. I never even looked back there. So it didn't feel like you need to go be an All-American. It felt like, oh, you lost your dream. And I pouted about it like a kid. And I think that was maybe the burden that I had growing up in this family is there is nothing but first. And I think it bit me in the butt a little bit is that I need to understand this sport's bigger than you. You got teammates that rely on you. Your partners that you work out with every day, they put the energy in for you to get on that podium. And, I think that bit me a little bit. I was a little selfish, and I needed to learn to be more of a teammate. And I think from there on out, I was probably that's where just being a coach and in general, I've learned a lot from that experience. You get get around a lot of people that only care about themselves in the sport, and you just got to make sure that being an All-American is important for your teammates, for your team, for your coaches, for the people that put the energy into your workout partners that are walk-ons that you drill on every day, just making sure that you represent them as well.
Who's the guy in your career, Chris, that modeled that? Maybe didn't get all the accolades, but just gave it all he had and got every ounce of his potential. Is there a teammate that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, Clayton Foster for sure. Probably one of the more traumatic moments I've ever had in my life is watching him be up in the national finals 7-1, 8-1 and getting pinned. I was just devastated. Never felt so just crushed. It felt like I lost. Probably one of the worst feelings I've ever seen. Got second, but the years before that, grinded out, wrestled for his team as a true freshman. Came at the toughest weight class, had Varners and all kinds of good guys at the weight in the Big 12. Just was always, every day you're going to get a kid from Idaho who's going to step on the mat and give you everything he's got, and he's going to fight like hell, and he deserves to be a national champion, but that's not how the sport works sometimes. You earn everything, and things can happen, and whether you're the hardest worker in the room or not. Neil Ayersman's a big role model in my life. Big time Little Rock coach, never placed, but come watch him work out in the room every day and watch how he talks to people and watch how he leads people and watch how he leads that program at Little Rock right now. They just had 2 guys win the tournament in Missouri and upset 2 nationally ranked guys. It's just like these people, they're bigger than their program, right? They think bigger than the program. And I think, they're worried about their teammates. They're worried about, your outside life. They care about you as a person. So I think those are probably 2 people in my life that really led me in the right directions after my freshman year. They showed me the way. I've never placed. I've never done this. I never won a national title, but you're going to do it. And this is how you're going to do it. And you're going to do it the way that we lived every day. And if it doesn't work out that way, it doesn't work out that way. But this is the only way to live to get it done.
So you come back your redshirt sophomore year and you take 3rd. So that, you came on the backside, couple of hard matches, and you get 3rd. I guess I would start with this, Chris. Technically, where did you make those jumps after that first appearance at the NCAA tournament?
Well, I started the year out at 84, and I went to a couple tournaments, had some tight matches. One, I ended up after Reno being number 1 in the country at 84. John brings me into his office and sits me down and says, "Hey, we want you to go to 74." And I'm like, "I'm number 1 in the country at 84. What are you talking about?" Like, kind of just confused. But I was winning a lot of matches by just hanging on for dear life, just straining. And he goes, "I don't think your body's physically capable of lasting through the entire year at 84. I think you're too small." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm still number 1 in the country." So, and we had about a 2-hour meeting. And by the end of it, I bought into it. I'm like, you know what? I'm in. If it's for the team, I'm in. He said, I think it's best for the team and I think it's best for you. But he said, mostly for you. We didn't have anybody at 84 that could go up and, you know, do anything like be an All-American, but he just made it clear. I think it's best for you and our team. Now, I'm a team player at this time. I said, I got to learn to be not about myself, about the team. So I go down and I went to Iowa and I won in overtime at 74, first time down. I had to sit out a couple matches. But then I really started dominating that year, like not winning, beating guys up, like even top 6 guys, like winning by 6 or 7. And I kind of put me in this category of, we got 3 guys at this weight. We're all undefeated and ain't nobody stopping me at this weight. I was number 1 at 84. You're not beating me at 74. So I got a lot of confidence off of it. Like, if I was number 1 at 84, who's going to beat me at 74? And I started really controlling matches physically, mentally. It took me to a new level. I had to test myself. You know, conditioning's always been a factor for me. Like, I really embrace conditioning. You're never going to get me tired. That's kind of my deal. Even though my first match I went to overtime, I was like, this first time down to weight and I wrestled number 6 guy. I'm good. And I didn't get like anxious about it. Like, man, I barely won it this weight. What's going on with me? I kind of grew up a lot mentally, challenging myself. And then I put myself in a category with 3 people, with Ed Ruth, Mucha Stegi, and me. Mucha Stegi was in the national finals the year before. Ed Ruth's already been a national champion. Or I think he was, a national champion probably by then. I don't remember exactly. And it was me. And I was determined to beat him. And I was ready as I've ever been. I think I was too dominant. I needed to be ready for some more challenging matches. And first round of the NCAA tournament, I popped my knee. The guy shot in. I let a guy. I wasn't intense. Guy popped my knee, and I just got in, like, oh my gosh, I'm hurt. You know, and it's like I needed to overcome that. Got to the semis, and now I'm like, I'm not healthy. How am I going to beat the undefeated guys? You know, and I believed I could do it, but I was second guessing myself still. Instead of, before that tournament, I thought I was invincible. Nobody's stopping me. And those things can happen to anybody any given day. We've seen it, we've seen it with Spencer Lee's, where he's wearing knee pad, or, he's torn his ACL and he just finds a way to get it done. And I needed to go through those challenges. I was a good enough wrestler. I wasn't mentally ready to go through a hard season all the time. I mean, you're just not used to having, I step in the national tournament and I got 5 guys here that are going to scrap with me. I might beat them by 6 or 7, but they're going to fight. They're not going to let me roll them over and pin them. So I think got beat in the semis in a tight match to Mucha Stegi. Probably maturity, I think, got me there. He's a senior. I'm a sophomore. This is my last go at it for him. And I'm thinking I'm already looking ahead to Ed Ruth. I'm not going to lie. Like, this guy hadn't wrestled all year. So I was just like, I'm getting Ed Ruth. I'm taking out the defending champ. And you can't look ahead. Not in that tournament. Anything can happen any given day. And it got me. And then I wrestled all right in the backside. Once I lost in that backside this time, compared to my freshman year, I let it fly. I scored like 15 points in one match. And I just had no fear, because it's over. I can't win it anymore. So I think I learned a lot from that. The year before, it was like I was pouting about not being the national champ, and you can't be the national champ when you're losing the quarters, dude. So you just got to be honest with yourself. It's hard love, but it's real.
Junior year, you get that title, loaded weight class. I mean, I remember, obviously, Big Ten Network doing those matches at 174, a ton of hammers. You're in that mix as well. What was the difference that junior year, getting that first title?
The pressure. I was the number 1 seed. Ed Ruth went up. I didn't put any of those guys on Ed Ruth's level. They never were. I'm not going to lie. He was way better than all these guys that I had coming. I think I actually wrestled the worst year of my career that year, because I had to be number 1, and I knew the expectations. It's either you win or it's bust. You've already, losing to Ed Ruth, 3-time national champ, there's no national champs. So what's your excuse? Or what's your reasoning why? So I probably wrestled the tightest year I ever wrestled that year. Bad. I lost to number 12 guy in the country by major at Missouri one year, or that year. I just had a meltdown. I don't know what happened. And then after that, it was like I wrestled scared to lose. Got it done that year regardless. I got a little hurt at the Big 12s. It didn't matter. It was just a tight year for me, trying to get that first one off my chest. and not having anybody to chase. I had nobody to chase. I mean, I'm the guy. You're the guy now. Muchastegi's gone. Ed Roos gone. Dude, if you don't win, it's on you. So I wrestled. It was a tough year for me. I really lost a lot of confidence come about Big 12s. Wrestled all right, but come the national tournament, I didn't know. I was like, man, you got to go get this thing. I don't know how you're going to do it. And just getting it done. I think Mark really dialed me back in before. Family dialed me back in before. You know, I was second guessing a lot of things. And I think John really helped me that year. Mark really helped me that year. And my mom and my dad, obviously. Just look, son, it's just a wrestling match. They just had to break it down to, look, you're the number one seed, but just remember it's just a wrestling match. At the end of the day, you're going to live. Everything's going to be okay. And I just kind of put it in perspective. And I still wrestled tight and still was nervous, and it still meant something to me. I mean, let's not forget, I've been watching this tournament since I'm 4 years old, and this is all I've ever dreamed of, is getting my hand raised on that stage. So there was pressure. I'm not going to lie. But just, I had to will my way to a lot of wins, and they were ugly. I mean, I tell people all the time, and one thing with me is I'm very open and honest. I don't really care what people think. I would not root for me at the NCAA tournament that year. I mean, everybody's booming. Oh, I get it, guys. I get it. I was that guy. I stole 5 wins and I got my hand raised, and oh well, sorry. See you next year. So that never bothered me. And when I let that go of what people thought about me, or fans or anybody, that's probably saved my career in wrestling and coaching. I don't really care. It's hard I really care about my teammates, my athletes, and myself, and that's about it. And my family. And it's just like, I don't let stuff like that rattle me. When I was young, I used to look at things like flow wrestling. I don't care. I'll tell them the truth. I'll tell anybody the truth. It is what it is. And this sport's brutal. When the first time you get ahead of yourself, the sport can come back and bite you in the butt, you know, and you think you're big headed, and boom, next thing you know, you're right back to reality. And it's, that's what I've learned through a lot of this. And I think that year is when I really learned to not care what people thought.
During that season, or in your college career in general, what are a couple of the messages that just resonated most coming from John?
Oh, I think I continue to say it. Pressure is a privilege. You know, without this, who are we? You know, without your family, who are you? Without having to look up and your brother was the last guy that won nationals in front of you and you're trying to match him, who are you? That's what wakes you up every day. That's what gets you excited to train. That's what gets you excited to step on that stage one day. Pressure's a privilege, and embrace it, get excited about it. They're very, we're very close as a family with faith. I think, you know, we really relate back to, look, just believe in yourself, believe in God, believe in your family, and listen, you know, it'll take care of itself. So I think, those are some messages. He makes it pretty simple for me. He was hard on me, but he knew who my dad was too. So I needed that. That's how I responded. You know, some days I needed to get my butt chewed by John, and just like, hey, you need to wake up. I don't give a damn if you don't feel good or not, or you're feeling pressure. It's time to go out today, and you're going to win 9-1. If you win 2-1, that's okay, but win 9-1 today. And like putting that pressure on me, go get a major. Your team needs you. It's not about you. And just kind of giving me that direction of, you know, exceeding expectations. You know, even if you got number 6, go get a major, you know, and maybe that means I just win 3-1, but it just let me know you're that good. I believe in you. So you can go out and get a major. So he just, he had little bits and pieces. He's always has with me. He can say a couple things and it'll click, and then I just jump. And he might not see it, and I might not tell him about it, but you feel his presence. You know, you get a 6-time world champion, Olympic champion telling you that. It doesn't matter what he says. You just kind of, you respect it. I mean, you're just like, he's right. You know what? Whether you even agree with it, you'll go home and you'll think about it for about 30 minutes and be like, I got to do it. Man. So
what's something, Chris, that you have to be around John Smith? You've known him your entire life. What is something that being around him all the time, you understand that nobody else does, just from the amount of time you've spent with him and the different capacities you've spent time with him?
Just about life. He's a realist. He's very blunt. honest. He's not going to play, politics with people. He's not going to play, I'm sorry, I'm this. If it's a real thing, he'll say it. And I grew up around that. I just really respect it. It's kind of where I kind of get my persona, is that I don't really care what people think, because I've grown up around that. Like, if you don't like me, whatever, that's fine. I don't need any more friends or anything like that. And I want to be a nice person and a good
Sure.
person. But I will tell you the truth. If it has to do with, wrestling, if it has to do with life, recruiting, anything, I tell the recruits the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and play games with you and tell you a fantasy world that you're going to be Olympic champion, 4-time national champion, because it's not that easy. It's not that easy. I tried. I said, I watched it, dude. And I said, I thought I was going to do all this, and it's a lie. I said, you have to want that, and you have to do that. I can guide you and I can help you. But before that, it's not that easy. You're going to have to go through hell to get there. And just honest with them. I can't promise you that. And I think that's what the biggest thing is he never cuts me short of the truth.
What do you remember from that night standing on the podium as a national champ for the first time?
Oh, I tell everybody this, why I was so motivated to win the second one, is it's like a blackout. I blacked out. I don't remember nothing. I don't even remember when I won. I don't remember celebrating. I don't remember anything. I just remember emotionally being exhausted. Didn't sleep the night before I came off the mat. I literally went in the back, cried, laid down. I fell asleep right on the mat about 5 minutes. My brother's like tapping me on the shoulder, like, you got to go to media, dude. Get up. I was just exhausted emotionally. And I think I can't really, I was super excited, but it's a blur for me. I think a lot of it was just emotions, knowing I was second guessing myself because I was a little bit hurt, and it was a weird, that was a weird moment. So that senior year, I came in really like, I need to feel that again, because I really never got to feel it. I don't remember it. And I said, I've heard about adrenaline rushes where you just don't remember things, and that was definitely one of them.
Man, and then you and Andrew, how was this, your senior year? I mean, he was a stud. I mean, did you think about him all the time? I mean, at least from my vantage point, I know this is not accurate, but as a fan, it was like, these two guys are collision course.
Another deal with Andrew. Andrew was, I think he might have been 2 years ahead of me in high school. He was like the gladiator. Like, I watched him and I was like, oh my God, this guy's killing everybody. And then I made the junior world team with him. And I was at 86 kilos, is at 163 or 74 kilos. And we trained together, and he just beat the shit out of me. Bad. And he was 8 class down, just like, please God, don't ever make me wrestle this guy. I was being honest. Like, I was scared to death of this guy growing up. And I just knew how he trained. I knew how intense he was. I mean, he was like the Metcalf of my generation. I was just like petrified of this guy. And when I heard he was coming up to my weight, it lit a new fire. I don't think it lit a new fire till he beat me. And John said a couple words to me. He beat me at OU. I heard he was coming back. And he's at my weight. And I'm not going to lie, when I heard he's coming up my weight, I was like, oh no, this isn't the guy I want at my weight. Go back down to 165 for you. Let me try this. Let me get 2, please. And then him coming up, and he beat me. I respected him too much at OU. I have memories from when I was a senior and he was a freshman national finalist. I'm telling you, he beat the hell out of me. It wasn't even close in the training camps. I mean, just stomped me. And I was like, okay, so well, here we go. So he beat me at Norman. And once he beat me at Norman,
what did John say to you? You said John said something. What did he say to you?
He was pretty brutally honest. He said, you're scared of him. You'll never beat him. What, are you going to bow down to him? Do you even care? Do you want to just be, just brutal truth. He goes, you didn't even try and beat him. You just stood there. And I was 5-3, but he goes, you didn't even try and win. You were like satisfied. Like, and I took it personal. I was pissed. Like, did you really just say that to me? And kind of like, as a competitor, just like, oh, I'll show you. And I don't even think I wanted to beat Andrew that bad. I wanted to prove John wrong. Like, it wasn't even about Andrew after that. It was about like, I'll show you. Don't tell me I'm soft. Don't tell me I can't do it. And it was just like, he knew the right words to make me click. The same thing my dad would say, or my brother. Like, we're going to get this dude at the end. Get ready. And we're going to get ready. And you got to get ready mentally and physically. And I was just training the same way, and you can't train the same way for him. I knew mentally he was already in my head since I was a kid. So I went to a dark place. I needed John against me a little bit. Like, I'm challenging you to grow up and be a man and go do something special. This guy's supposed to win. And I think Andrew being at my weight gave me a re-motivation. If it was the same guy I had the year before, now I'm supposed to win. I knew they were talking about him winning the Hodge, about how he almost beat Burroughs, and they weren't putting me in that league, and I kind of got pissed. And then John called, you got a 6-time world champ, call you out and your uncle. You're kind of like, all right, I got a whole new fire under me now to go get this done. And, you're a senior and you got one now. But now I was like, I can make history. And this is the guy I want to take out now. And I made it personal. I mean, it was me versus him. And I almost slipped up making it that way a couple times, but I'm determined. I don't care if I never wrestle another match. I have to beat this guy in the national finals. So, and I thought it'd be hard to beat him more than once. And I beat him twice. And,
twice in 3 weeks, right? I mean, you beat him at Big 12s.
At Big 12s, it was a good match. I had a game plan. I switched my whole strategy up. And John's like, what are you doing? And I said, don't worry about me. You told me to get ready for him. I'll get ready for him. I'm motivated and I'm ready.
What did you switch, Chris? I mean, that surprised me that you said that. What did you switch? What was key?
I had to get ready for a fist fight. It had nothing to do with wrestling anymore. It felt like I was going into a UFC fight. When you wrestle him, you better get ready to fight him. You're not wrestling him. I mean, it's brutal. People don't get it. I'd rather wrestle a guy with speed and athleticism all day. After I wrestled him, I had to take 2 or 3 days off because my neck was so sore. I could barely. I mean, it's like getting punched. It feels like you're in a cage. And after the Big 12s, I was so sore. I was like, okay, but I was ready for it. I prepared for it. I put 3 guys on me a day to club me in the head, and they would rotate nonstop, no break. And I was just like, I just need you to hit me. I gotta feel myself get beat up physically, and just take it and just stay in there and keep fighting. And I prepared for him like a fight, but at the same time, I switched my lead leg. I knew he had trouble going left leg, and you don't normally do that but I wasn't worried about scoring on him. I was worried about fighting him. And I was like, he's hard to score on already. I can't make mistakes against him. So I need to get him in my positions I'm good in, and top and bottom is where I wanted to get him. And I ended up taking him down in the national finals. I didn't plan on ever taking him down, really. He's too hard to take down. There's not too many guys that take him down. But I had to embrace the fight, because if you've never felt him, you can ask Jordan Burroughs, all of them. He's the worst one to wrestle at all of them. I felt some of the worlds, they're not beating you up. They're not punching you in the head. Their hands don't feel like cement blocks, and they're not just sprinting at you. And you're just like, all right, here we go. We got to step in here for 7 minutes and fight, and we got to put him in a couple wrestling positions for about 30 seconds and win them. And I think Dake's kind of shown a couple examples when he wrestled him, like, all right, I got to make him shoot and put him in a cross lift. I mean, like, this is not an easy guy to wrestle. He's probably one of the greatest wrestlers and never won a world championship, I believe, in my opinion. And he was a better wrestler than me. I might have been a smarter wrestler than him, folk style wise. But overall, this guy's done some special things. And I knew it. He's been in the finals of Eureka 2 times, and was a couple times cheated out of it. And when you make the national finals as a freshman, you better be a man child. Yeah. So I respected him a lot, but I learned to embrace it. And this was this defined my career in college. If I can beat this guy, this will put me on a pedestal.
Now that you're coaching, Chris, and you've had some time to step away, now that you're coaching, what is something, when you look back at yourself as a college athlete and the success you had, is there a thing or two where you can go, dang, I didn't realize I was that good in this area or this part of my lifestyle or with this area of discipline? What are a couple things that you appreciate now that you can step back about the career that you had and the way you executed certain things in your life?
Probably later in my career, tactics and adjustments. I'm really good at tactically adjusting strategy. I can make adjustments really quickly on the fly. And I talk to my athletes a lot about that. It's just, we can't go out and be the same wrestler every match. We have to adapt. You get beat by somebody, they have to see something or feel something in the next match that they never felt before, like against you last time. You can't come out and still try and shoot the dive-in single leg that you shoot every time that they ran corner on you already once. I got to go overwhelm them. I got to put pressure on them. I got to slow them down. I got to keep them maybe from scoring just making those adjustments. I can break down things pretty quickly, the sport film, and I can find some weaknesses on how to exploit them. Got to be careful about doing it too much because then you change the wrestler they are. So I think game planning I'm pretty good with some things. I don't like to overdo it. I've learned that from John. You can't over game plan because then you'll stop wrestling your style. You're worried about what they do. So I've kind of learned to adapt with all that. But just having no fear a little bit with situations like we have to adapt match to match. There's some matches you're going to be outmatched and you have to change the wrestler you are. Can you do it? And that's what I challenge my guys. Like some guys are better on top than we are, and we better not be doing the same tripod that we always do because they're going to ride you with it. The guy's the best in the country on top. Can you get to your butt and change over and switch? Do something different. So I think that's kind of where I challenge them with tactics and, adapting match to match, not being the same wrestler every match. I don't need, if I got an underhook and that's all I got, what if they stop it? Can you change? So I think that's kind of where I do a pretty good job now that I'm in college or now that I'm coaching, is that we can't be the same wrestler each match. People will break you down. They'll scout you. They'll strategize. They'll shut you down eventually and you'll get beat.
As a coach, Chris, what is the most overrated and what is the most underrated, specifically maybe to you or in general?
Oh, I think overrated. A little bit of the overrated part of having fun. Right? It's fun. What's fun is winning. Winning's fun. So I hear a lot like I just want to go out and have fun. Well, yeah, I go out and win. I'm having a lot of fun. And I don't want to direct this toward any person or team, but I hear the word have fun. We just like to go out and have fun. Well, yeah, when you're winning, it's fun. Well, lose 8 in a row and tell me how much fun you're having. So I think nothing's fun about a hard, I can't breathe, grindy match. It's hard. And what's fun is at the end of the day, at the end of that match, my hand gets raised. Or at the end of the match, I scored a lot of points and I beat him. So I hear that word. We just like to go out and have fun. And I'm not directing this toward any team. The word fun in this sport, you got to make weight in 2-hour weigh-in. You got to be disciplined. You got to run miles the night before, and then you got to go out and scrap. There's nothing fun about any of this, right? And so I think what's really fun is winning and getting my hand raised. So it's easy to kind of use these alliterations with people when you're winning. We just like to have fun. Well, go ask the other guy over there that's records about 1-18 and ask him if he's having fun. It's just not. What I'm saying is what's really fun is when you're winning and you're on a roll and things are in the same thing. And I've learned that a little bit. I like the word go out and have fun, and my word is go out and cut loose, have fun with it. Go out and scrap. You're going to get tired and you're going to get excited about it. And at the end of the day, you want to get your hand raised, and it's fun if you get it raised. If it's not, I got to go pick you up in the back. So I hear that a lot. It's kind of like the way to take anxiety off kids, I think. And I'm not, it's not, it might not be for everybody else. They might disagree with me. That's fine. I don't care. I'm just being honest. I never really hear anybody that's not winning say, oh, I just need to go out and have fun. It's the guys that are winning that say, I like to go out and have fun and just wrestle hard. Well, yeah, you're undefeated and you're about to be a 3-time national champion. No, it is pretty fun when you win 3.
What's something that you feel is underrated in wrestling that can lead to some success?
The grind of it, how hard it is. You can't ever slide from it. You're going to have to live this thing 12 months out of the year. You're going to have to be tough. You're going to have to live your life right. You're going to have to be the student athlete. All the discipline that everybody says that kind of like, I don't get into politics too much, but the world's going like, oh, NIL, it's going to be easy. Give me money and it's going to make life easy. No, it's not. You're going to have to make weight. You're exactly what I said. All this is really hard. And I think we're trying to slide away from how hard the sport is. And it's as hard as it can be. Guys, we have Jordan Burroughs, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and he's still wrestling at 35 and he's trying to make an Olympic team. It's hard to do. And he didn't make it this year and he might make it next year. I don't know. But it's that hard. It's the hardest sport in the world, and we can't ever forget it. Giving people easy things, or trying to make this sport comfortable. This is the one sport that will never be comfortable. It doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, I've been around it. Even as a coach, it's not comfortable, and I don't even have to step on the mat and wrestle. it's not comfortable. I still get nervous. I still get night before I can't sleep. It's just like there's nothing comfortable about it. And I think we're trying to make it that way a little bit. And trying to be these other sports. We are who we are. We know what wrestling is. You know, you've seen high school kids beat #1 guys in the country. There's nothing comfortable about it. I mean, yeah, I don't want to go out and wrestle junior in high school when I'm ranked #1 in the country and I got everything to lose. And this kid's a world champion. He's on fire. It's like, I got to get ready to go. And so I think we're kind of, it's underrated. We're the hardest sport in the world. Nobody can ever change that. And I'll say it time and time again. I've heard everybody go, what about this? No, you don't have to do it 26 times a year. You don't have to make weight. You don't got to step out there every weekend. You guys can take off 3 months and 6 months, and then you either go fight or you wrestle a tournament and freestyle. It's not the same. I got to go throw it on the line every week. I got to be perfect. I got to make sure I'm living my life right. I can't make mistakes. My grades got to be good. My home life's got to be good. So I think that's probably the most underrated thing is you can't change the sport. It don't matter what you do with it, money, any of it. It'll come back and get you.
Couple of more questions for you, Chris. This has been a lot of fun. Do you have a story from the corner as an athlete and as a coach? Just like a memorable story, whatever that might be, in the coaching corner with, John next to you, or, John in your corner as you were an athlete. You got a couple like corner stories that stand out that you'll always remember?
Oh, I think there's a lot of them. I think some of them just memorable moments where you're preaching stuff in practice to guys. I had one at Big 12s with Luke Serber where I said, if you mat return a guy 6 times, he'll break. I promise you. And one season, well, we mat returned him about 6, and the dude kept coming up, and he looked at me like, hey. And then we mat returned him 10 in a row, and I was like, I kept going, one more and he'll quit. Well, we got to 12, and finally he quit, and he looked at me. He's like, you missed it by about 6, buddy. Kind of laughed about it. I was like, this is the most mat returns I've ever seen. And I said, well, I got to give it to the guy. I've never seen anybody get up 12 times. But he goes, it worked after 12, but I said one more each time and he'll quit. I kept going, one more and he'll quit. We got to about 12, and he's like, dude, I started not believing in you after about 10.
Oh, that's good. How about with John? You got any stories with him in the corner where whatever it might be that just you'll always remember?
Oh, yeah, there's quite a few. You just get in those moments. It's kind of like hard to remember it all because it goes so quick. Probably wins with athletes when you're grabbing each other and you don't even know what you're doing with your hands. He's pulling on my shirt and I'm pulling on his, and you're just like, the hell's going on here? And you're like, did I really do that? So I think probably with Dustin Plott when he placed and he got down by a lot, just talking about gritty was just celebrating in the back. I think that's a lot of it. You get in the moment so much, you're both so focused as competitors. It's really hard to remember like certain sayings but no, there's not too many crazy ones that stand out yet.
Final question for you, Chris. You get to go from Stillwater up to Seattle in a car. It's you and 3 people that you've never met. 3 people you've never met. What 3 are you taking on that ride?
All right. I'm going to take Tom Brady. I'm going to take David Goggins because I know he can talk. And then, that last one, I don't know. I don't know about the last one.
Tell you what, take me. I'll go on that ride.
Yeah, probably. I don't have anybody that's my brother, maybe, because he can talk.
Man, good stuff. Well, Chris, appreciate the insight. A lot of really good stuff. You've had a phenomenal journey in wrestling. I know there's more chapters to be written, but thanks for the time tonight. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Shane.